Hi, my name's David, and I'm one of the Discovery staff in Ontario Provincial Parks. And I just want to tell you about this really cool community science initiative that's going on right now to do with birds, and just give you a couple of pointers about how you can do it without actually hurting the birds. So this is the third Ontario Breeding Bird Atlas, and it's set to run from 2021 right now right through to 2025. It's a 5-year project, and the idea is that it's going to document every bird species that nests in the province, where they nest, where they don't nest, and how common or rare they are when they're nesting. So this will be great information. It's very interesting for those people that are just interested in birds like myself, but it's also going to be a great great conservation tool, because we can, particularly because we can compare it to the last 2 breeding bird atlases. Like I said, this was the third one. There was one 2001, 2005, produced this fabulous book. Lots of information, lots of data in there. And there's one back in the 80s as well, 81, 85. And so now we've got these data sets that we can compare, and we can find out what birds are doing okay and which birds might be declining. And then maybe we can pinpoint those birds and work on some strategies to help them. This is a great initiative. This is a citizen or community science initiative, so everybody can get involved. And you don't need to know your birds that well. The more you know them, the more you can contribute. But it's a 5-year project, so you got lots of time to learn as well. So if you're interested in getting more involved, I urge you to check out the website, www.birdsontario.org. Huge amount of information on there, and it'll be a lot of fun to get out and get involved in the third Ontario Breeding Bird Atlas. Now, however, I do want to throw out a couple of cautions, because it would be tragically ironic if working on a conservation initiative like this, you actually ended up hurting the birds you're trying to help. And it would be easy to do that in our enthusiasm to rush out there and document all these nesting areas. So there's a couple of things I'd just like you to caution you against. One of them is actually hanging around the nests too much. Some birds are very sensitive to disturbance while they're building a nest or when they're nesting. And if you're crashing around a nest site, they might abandon the nest, and the chicks will die. And of course, we don't want that to happen. And that's the beauty of the Breeding Bird Atlas. You're just looking, you don't need to find the nest. You're looking for behaviors that indicate there is a nest. So if you see a bird that's carrying nesting material or carrying food and it goes into a hedgerow, you don't have to be crashing around in that hedgerow looking for a nest. You know there's confirmed breeding. You just write that down and you move on. Now, the other thing you have to be careful of is the use of broadcasting songs, bird songs. And when I'm talking about a song, I'm talking about the specific sound that a male bird makes to establish a territory and attract a mate. Those are called songs. All the other sounds that birds make are called calls. But songs are the ones that are very important for a lot of studies, because it helps you find the birds, it helps you identify them, and it also indicates that they might possibly be breeding in that area. But yeah, and sometimes when you're out there, birders or ornithologists might actually play a song to try to get a bird to come in and be able to see it. In the last atlas, I was using cassette recorders. Now, of course, you've got a chance to have all kinds of songs just on your phone, and you can just play them anytime. Now that's a white-throated sparrow. That was actually the first bird song that I ever identified. I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I heard it. I was able to identify it by listening to a vinyl record that came around from the National Geographic through the mail. So it was a little bit more of a process. But now it's pretty easy to have songs and be able to play them. But you have to be careful about playing them, because you can stress the bird. Now, I can only think of a couple of reasons why it would be useful to play a song during the Breeding Bird Atlas. One is maybe you're out in the back roads or out somewhere, and you're hearing this bird singing constantly, making the same sound over and over and over again, and you just can't see it, and you don't know what it is. So you might record it with your phone, or maybe you record it. I use my video setting on my digital camera. Record it. You could send that recording off to an expert, maybe the regional coordinator of the Breeding Bird Atlas, and ask them what it was. Or you might just play it back and see if that bird will come out, and you'll be able to identify it, and you'll learn something as you move along. The other reason you would broadcast songs is to survey specific groups of birds that you just never see any other way, or find any other way. And those are particularly owls and marsh birds. Now, Bird Studies Canada has been doing surveys for these animals for decades, and they have a very specific protocol to use about when you're broadcasting songs and how you do it. And the Atlas is also going to have some very similar protocols, and you can find those on the website. So it's very important that you follow those protocols so you don't stress the birds out. And you got to realize that every time you play a song, you're stressing the bird, because the songs are actually forms of territorial warfare, and you can outgun any bird out there with your phone. And every time you play it, you're stressing that bird, and if you play it too much, you'll stress the bird to the extent that it will maybe leave the area, it'll lose a breeding opportunity. It might even get to this extent where it's so stressed out that it reduces its ability to survive, and we don't want that. Now, it sometimes depends a little bit on where you are, whether you broadcast a call or not. If you're out in the back road somewhere, nobody else is bird watching there, a couple of calls isn't going to hurt. If you're at a known birding area for a very secretive bird like a sedge wren, people might be, in the breeding season, they might be there every second day playing a call, and you don't want to add to that stress of that bird there. And in some protected areas, it's against the rules. It's against the law to broadcast songs. So you want to know where you are and what the rules are. But in general, my rule of thumb is you can play it twice. If you need to play it more than that, it's not really worth it. And like I say, for Breeding Bird Atlas, you're looking for other behaviors anyway. And if you're doing the marsh birds or the owls, make sure you use those protocols and use them correctly. So that's the Breeding Bird Atlas, third one in Ontario. It's next 5 years. It's going to be a lot of fun, lots of information to find out there, lots of opportunity for people to get involved. So I hope you check it out. I hope you get involved, and maybe I'll see you out there. Thanks.